Ki Khubor ka Batisi TV. Lawan Rashapi da ka Frank Motors. The dark is here to rule.
Ka IZ Group of Institution Bangalore, kadai ka college babatam na banta ka jingpuli nursing but paramedical course, hospital training, khnio scholarship but 6% ka kam, haki hospital bahedo ha India but shabari. Na banta ka jingpuli ka jingsiyo ka baret but pila banlek puli da ka education loan. Pila urban chukol ha number khandai nyo saw san rio pranon lani khandai pran rio laisan an riway khandai pra.
Hatu pikwa baki janjong pikil kuit bha benar kam daka Oswell su hilaban yo na barok kidukan
Katanat social welfare jongga Sorkar jilla haga khat santarik ujlio arajar arpulai kalalum jingyalang yakinong yalam jongki Kynhun jait Niam boper banyathir yatai haga baydei bar ka Ïakhun Thma Pyrshah yaga jingjillai jong Drok haga ne jilla U Menteri Katanat Social Welfare uba polengdo haga Jingïarap bat kilat patai kubor ulayatu bakalami ke jing ai jingmut hapo ke jingyalang ban kampen bun ya ke jingya selok ban pensyai pat ba bat ban yada ya ke jingsya iben jong ki breu ki bala im kerni haga jing di Drok.
The response is tremendous. We had representations from various church organizations and a number of very important suggestions also emerged from the meeting where the discussion was confined to the need to up the ante against the narcotics situation, and suggestions have come that the need to increase the number of counseling that we're doing, the intensity of counseling, awareness programs, and destigmatization of the drug users. And briefly, as a result of the discussions, we agreed on a two-pronged approach. The first is to involve the various faith organizations in coming forward and joining the campaign against drug abuse. The members who attended were briefed that at this stage we have earmarked an amount of rupees 10 crore per annum, which will work out to 50 crores in 5 years for the implementation of the elimination of drugs and substance use. And the faith organizations have been requested to go back and have their in-house consultations. We will then, based on their requirement, fund the publicity campaign, and also I had suggested that since a lot of schools also come under these organizations, students can be asked to take a pledge on a daily basis to not abuse himself or his friends or engage in activities that lead to narcotic addiction. So one of the other major decision that we took was, since this involves large areas of the state, in fact as many as 7 districts have been identified as hotspot districts, we will intensify this campaign, involve the other districts as well. But as a pilot project, we will first, since Shillong is a major hotspot, on a pilot project basis, we will zone Shillong into various zones, and each of these zones there will be regular interaction and review of the extent of the problem, identification of users, identification of peddlers, and coordination with all line departments, the Dorbarshnongs, and the social welfare department and health department. So briefly, this is what was discussed, and subsequent to this, we will also involve organizations, Dorbarshnongs, and NGOs that have not been invited so far, because inviting all of them in one single meet involves huge problems of logistics. So, but at the third meeting, we will certainly widen the scope of involving more such organizations. As I said, we have identified hotspot districts. We will concentrate on those, but at the same time, we will be allotting funds to all the districts, and NGOs, faith organizations, and other such entities with credible credentials can also come forward. But at this stage, we have first approached the faith organizations because they have the infrastructure, they have their churches, they have their schools. So based on that consideration, we have asked them to come up with proposals so that the pilot project can take off immediately. We have a system in place. We have a mission director. We are going to appoint a mission director, and then we also have these development associates drawn from the planning department. All expenditure incurred we will ensure that it is transparent. That suggestion had emerged at the last meeting, for which we need to coordinate with the Department of Education first. Well, religious organizations play a very big role in the state of Meghalaya, and if we start preaching openly about drug addiction and how parents and how us responsible citizens, you should, beginning from home, start to curb and eliminate drug abuse, then the message, they are a very, very significant player in molding the future of Meghalaya. In fact, when you have collection from churchgoers at every service, they can have certain services where they say that whatever we collect today will be used for the anti-drugs campaign, something like that. If you remember what I had mentioned earlier once in the house, it's very important that to prevent and rule out the possibility of a nexus, there has to be very frequent transfer of officers. It might not have to be from one district to the other, but from one office to the other office, and not to allow police officials, for instance, to develop a vested interest in a district. And once that is done, the possibility of a nexus will be eliminated. Second is, since we are invoking that very important act, which is called the PIT NDPS 1988, which arms the government with the power of making detentions, it'll be a big deterrent. As I mentioned the other day, we have been supporting these de-addiction centers. In fact, the majority of them are being funded and supported by the Social Welfare Department. 11. A total of 11. So in addition to that, we've proposed...
Through this program, we will also expand those services.
And we've proposed 4 new centers, 4 new such centers. So, everybody, including the church organizations, religious organizations, are also invited to come up with proposals, and whatever support they require from the government, we're there to support. We already, as I indicated the other day, we've agreed to set up an advisory board, which will be headed by a retired High Court judge who is very familiar with Meghalaya. And we have faith that this advisory board will give each one a fair hearing, so that there will be no possibility of abusing the provisions of the existing Act. And also we will be framing rules under this Act to make it more stringent.